What's up, y'all? I'm about to start this off with a rant. So right now, just hit subscribe real quick. If you're new here, hit subscribe. I'm gonna be here. I'm probably gonna be here the rest of the season, but I'm about to explain to y'all why I just paused. But thumbs up the video. Do that real quick. Y'all did amazing as y'all did last week and the week before that. Thumbs up the video. Let's try and shoot for 400 to 500 likes. Get in them comments. Share the video. Subscribe if you're new. But I'm going to do what I'm pretty sure y'all have done online as well. I'm about to rant about Zeus and their unprofessionalism. It pisses me off because they advertise that this show comes out at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Which, first of all, that's a problem in its first right then and there, because as a streaming service, you should drop your episodes the day of. When I say the day of, the minute the day changes to the date that you want it to air. So today is the 25th. Drop the shit at midnight. Drop it at midnight like every other show, like Peacock, like Netflix, like all those other streaming services that are serious streaming services that are respected. Do that. So we don't have to have these issues. You can avoid having all of your subscribers upset because you lied and claimed that you were going to drop some shit at a certain time, and then when the time comes, it's not there. They waited till 7:30 to drop this episode. Y'all advertised that it would be there at 6. I canceled my subscription. Sure did. Sure did. I'm probably going to resubscribe it back because I do like this show and I do want to finish it out for y'all. But Zeus is on its last leg with me. I'm so serious. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think. I know y'all was just as mad as me. I was pissed off. And y'all know, like, if you know me, you know I'm very OCD. That's why all my videos coming out the same time every single day. Most of y'all that love it about me is the fact that I drop my videos the day the episodes air, essentially hours after, maybe an hour or two after I watch it, because I like to get the stuff out. I'm too OCD. I don't like late shit. I'm very on time. That stuff pissed me off. It blew me. I was sitting there waiting and refreshing for like a whole hour. So that pissed me off. But yeah, enough of me ranting. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it as well. But also, we're about to get into this episode. I wanted to say I had a favorite in the episode, but I don't know if I do. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it as we break it down. But let's go. All right, so we get back to TeeTee versus Daisy. And Daisy was tearing TeeTee up. Tearing her up. Got on top of her. TeeTee trying to swing back, but you ain't about to beat Daisy. Like, Daisy, she's big on top of that. TeeTee's small. But Daisy also is she's very much a heavy hitter. You want to talk about a heavy hitter? She punches hard. TeeTee even confirmed that she punches hard. And it was clear that she punches hard. And she put her weight. She knows how to use her weight. Like, you look at her and you look at Rolly. Two completely different people and polar opposites. Rolly, she knows how to use her weight, but she don't know how to use it like this girl. And this girl actually knows how to fight. Rolly can't fight. So that's the difference. So when she get on top of you, you got a lot of work cut out for you. But the craziest thing is they have no security. And that was a theme throughout the rest of this episode. We're going to get to it in a minute. But the one security guard they have is Vanessa. She's a woman trying to break apart two women, one of which is bigger than her. So it's like, and you got the girls trying to break it up. Vanessa, she's the only security guard. She gets in the confessionals. They spent, like what Movie Bay said in our group chat, the security's not there because they're in the confessionals. Like, they're too busy doing confessionals. Where's the security at? Where is it at? Because it became a hazard later on, but we'll get to it in a minute. But Daisy, she's still trying to fight TeeTee. And TeeTee is saying that Daisy hits hard and she got up huffing and puffing and everything, but she was still ready to go again. Which, TeeTee, I'm going to talk about that in a minute because you blew me later on. But Cuppcake ends up saying that she's not fighting over a mattress with Bahati. And said that Bahati can essentially sleep there with her. I said, you better than me. Not nobody that's beating my ass and coming up there doing that the way they did. You're not sleeping with me. But Bahati ends up asking her if she feels okay with her sleeping there. And Cuppcake says, yeah, I'm not fighting you over it. I said, you better than me. But Coco's eye looked a mess in this scene, but it looked even worse in that damn preview next week. Like, you know how you have the whites of your eye? Like, her whole side right here is just bloodshot red. I said, damn. But Daisy ends up asking if her and TeeTee are sharing the bed. She's asking TeeTee. And TeeTee says no, like, we can run it again because Daisy on that weird shit, which she was. Like, she completely was. But TeeTee ends up saying that she got up in that bitch like she would, like this was her room, and that's what Daisy was doing, and that's what I said last week. But Daisy ends up saying that TeeTee on some stingy shit because why can't I sleep? Why can't nobody sleep with you? I said that's not being stingy because like I said last week, if there's all these other beds, there's what 20 girls in. I don't know how many girls is in the house, but there's enough beds for each girl in that house to have their own bed. So I don't see where you talking about this is stingy. I don't have to share the bed with me. I don't have to share the bed with you. If I got up here and got the bed first, you lost out on it. That's my bed. If I want to stay there, I'm going to stay there. But TeeTee ends up saying that, and Daisy was like, well, you made a valid point, but I'm not sharing a bed. I'm not sharing a bed with two other bitches, talking about Cuppcake and Bahati. So what am I supposed to do? Fight them? I said, no, you're supposed to go back downstairs to the empty bed that is down there. Like, you have to make do with what it is, or you have to go find another room. But Daisy ends up saying that she's going to get her shit and bring it upstairs, and we're all going to be roommates, and we're going to have fun. I said, here we go. But Glossop ends up saying, I think Glossop said it, but she says that she's not fighting nobody over no master bedroom. Well, she got two. Yeah, Glossop said this. She said, I got two masters at my own house. I'm not fighting nobody over this. I said, flex on them. But TeeTee ends up saying that she's willing to fight anybody in that bitch. Told Daisy that she's not scared of her and said that I just did my hair and we about to go out. And Daisy said, I did too. But TeeTee ends up saying, but I ain't starting no shit with you. And Daisy says, I don't feel like I started with you. You did. You did. Like, how do you not feel that you started with her when you literally came up to her room, literally starting a fight with her over her own bed? Like, she didn't come down there starting to pick it with you. Like, we gotta hold ourselves accountable. But Daisy ends up saying, like, if you would have just been like, you can come sleep with me. And I'm like, why does she have to say that? Like, why does she have to allow you to do it because you want her to do it? She don't have to do that. But TeeTee ends up saying that's not the point. We found this bed. Whoever found their room is staying in their room. It's their room. You should have went looking for the room when I was looking for the room. True. But Daisy ends up saying, you asked me to fight. And TeeTee was like, I'm not going to sneak you, but you kept bumping into me. And Daisy's sitting there denying it. And I'm like, you literally was up in her, which Glossop said, I think it was either Glossop or Coco. They literally said what I was thinking. You literally was up in her space. You're violating my space. Like I said, if we got animosity and hostility, if I put my hand out in front of you and I can touch you, I'm hitting you. And the way and how close Daisy was to TeeTee, she put her hand out there, she'd have slapped her. So, I mean, what you think was going to happen? Like, what did you think was going to happen, Daisy? But everybody eventually ends up leaving out. It's just Cuppcake, Bahati, and TeeTee. And Cuppcake is telling Bahati that she should have come in here on a whole different vibe. And Bahati said, but you was off camera talking shit about me, saying that she was going to slap me. But then you get on camera and you start acting like shit is sweet. I'm right there with Bahati. You can't be doing that off camera. You can't be doing that anywhere. Like, you can't sit up here and talk shit about me and then get up in my face and act like everything is cool. I'm fully on Bahati's side with this. But Cuppcake denies that she did it, which we're going to get to it later on because she later admits that she did. But Bahati ends up saying, like, you think I'm going to trust you because you sitting here acting like everything is cool now? Like, no. But Cuppcake ends up saying she's not arguing, and she gets in her confessionals talking about she's not on that. I said, but at the first episode, you claim that any bitch that steps to you, you going to be on that. She was stepping to you, and you wasn't on that. But we get to another scene where pretty much every other girl, they're now down in the kitchen area at the table, and they're recapping the club. The majority of them had a good time. Coco ends up saying that she expected her and Daisy to fight again, and Daisy was like, I only fought you because you jumped in that fight. Coco ends up saying, like, we essentially can squash it. Like, we didn't have any real beef, and you didn't do anything to harm me, even though she just damn near shut your eye. But, I mean, they didn't have any real beef. So if they wanted to squash that, I completely agreed. Even though you do my eye like that, we got to run it until I do yours like that. But, I mean, respect. But Jadynn's can't fight ass gets in the confessionals talking about how Coco was copping a plea with Daisy. The audacity of you. And we about to, it's clockwork. She did something that she later then, she said something about somebody that she later did. And then somebody else later on ends up saying, it's funny how everything happens. But Jadynn, she ends up saying that somebody fucked her eye up like that. She'd be like, nah, bitch. I'm like, yeah, I would for sure, but you wouldn't. And we literally saw that you wouldn't do shit. Like, you just talking it. There's a lot of confessional gangsters on this season. But TeeTee, she ends up saying that she felt like it was some weak bitch shit for Bahati to come in and fight Cuppcake because TeeTee's bed is actually the bigger bed, and if she really wanted that bed, she should have came and fought her for it. And then she ends up saying, you already had, like, me and you already had beef, and Bahati already knew about what Cuppcake had going on. And I'm like, TeeTee, you're weird. Because you should have all this energy that you have for Bahati for the one that actually fought you for that bed, which is Daisy. The one that actually beat your ass for that bed. TeeTee was losing me here. But TeeTee ends up saying that she needs that from Bahati. I'm like, you need it for what? You already beat her a couple times. She didn't come up that room pressing you for that bed. She pressed Cuppcake for that bed. And rightfully so. I mean, you talking shit about me and saying you're going to slap me. Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it. But Bahati ends up saying Cuppcake said off camera that she was going to slap her. And Cuppcake ends up saying that she did say it off camera. And then she claims that they had talked about it. And I'm like, but you said earlier that you didn't say it, but now you're saying that you said it because you got possible protection. Because you got TeeTee over here going to vouch for you. But when you didn't have anybody else up there that could vouch for you, you were sitting up there lying. But Gloss Up ends up saying that Cuppcake had said that she was going to slap her. And Gloss Up also said that she was going to slap her too. I said, for what? What would you be slapping her for, Gloss Up? But Cuppcake ends up saying that Bahati has sat there quiet in her confessional. She's saying this. That Bahati has sat there quiet. But when Gloss Up said the same thing, she ain't have nothing to say. Whenever it was Cuppcake, she had something to say. But when Gloss Up said it, she ain't have nothing to say. I'm like, where's this energy at in the confessional in real time? Because you have all this energy in these confessionals, but you ain't possessing that same energy in real time. But Cuppcake ends up saying that 2 days before she came, boy, this right here irritates me. I can't stand this shit. But she ends up saying 2 days before she came to the show, she found out that she might have cancer. Stop playing with cancer. Stop playing with, like, y'all, weird. But I'm about to elaborate in a minute. But she says she wanted to come in and be lit and be this lit bitch. But she's told herself if a bitch steps to her, she gonna beat their ass. I said, first of all, and I'm reading it verbatim. I said, first of all, you better not be lying about this cancer, which we're gonna get to it in a minute. Because lying about cancer, lying about shit happening to your family members, y'all are weird. Do y'all not believe in karma? I do. Like, if you gonna lie, if you gonna tell a lie that's not severe and has repercussions. Like, sitting here saying that you got cancer, knowing that you don't have cancer is weird. It's so weird. But then I said, number two, just because you, in the moment, I was giving her grace saying that she had it or possibly could have it. Just because you have it, if you do something on this show that makes somebody want to fight you, are they supposed to not fight you because you have cancer? If you're doing weird shit and somebody wants to hit you, they gonna hit you, regardless if you have it or not. Which, I mean, it's clear you're using it as an excuse. But then, yeah, I just said what I wanted to say. But Janelle's, she gets in her confessional saying exactly what I just essentially said. Cuppcake's talking about how she might have cancer. But to me, it sounds like she's using it as an excuse because she's sitting up here. Every time you look over to the left, look over to the right, she over here taking shots and smoking cigarettes. What do we know about smoking cigarettes and cancer? Like, I'm not saying that that's what could trigger her possibly having it. But, I mean, statistics, they don't lie. But Daisy ends up asking Bahati how she felt about TeeTee saying that she was going to fight her. And Bahati ends up saying, like, I don't care because we already spoke about it, and that's why I didn't go for her. And she says that we pretty much squashed our shit and apologized. TeeTee is denying that she did not apologize. She said Bahati apologized, but she didn't. Bahati is denying it. Emery is vouching for TeeTee, saying that she did not say it. But TeeTee ends up saying she never apologizes because she makes other people apologize. But she ends up saying, too, that her and Bahati can run their ones, and whoever stays. In her words, she says whoever stays or whoever wins can stay or gotta go, which I'm assuming she meant whoever wins can decide whoever lost can stay or go. But Bahati said, regardless, win, lose, or draw, I'm still gonna be here. I said, exactly. But TeeTee's like, that's not the case. Well, she's still here. But Daisy, she then ends up asking Janelle's how she felt about Shay. She ends up saying, like, we fought, shook it off, whatever, it is what it is. But Daisy then tells Shay to repeat what she had said about that celebrity guest shit because the other girls that were not on their bus did not hear it. Shay's claiming that she already said it. Judging from the body language of the other girls, they didn't hear it. But she ends up saying that she had felt some type of way about the online pics and celebrity guests getting picked easier than the girls that went to the auditions. Emery ends up saying, so why are you mad? Because I'm an online pic, so what? Shay ends up saying, but we had to send in our pictures. Emery said we had to do the same shit that y'all did, which is true. Like, the only difference is y'all actually went and stood in them lines knowing that there's a large possibility that the majority of the cast could get picked from people that are not even there. That is your fault. You mad at her and them for some shit that you didn't have to do. They're living proof that you did not have to go do that. But Gloss Up ends up saying, because Shay was like, no, we didn't have to. We had to send in audition tapes and had to come in person. Like I just said, you did not have to come in person. They are literally proof that you did not have to do that. But Gloss Up ends up saying, but you don't know what other people's situations are. And Shay ends up saying, that's just how I felt. Emery says, but you said that you was going to come in here and humble people, but you're the only one in this hole that's gotten humbled. I said, at this moment, Emery was creeping up to the top of my list in terms of my favorites. Y'all know episode 5 is when I'm going to claim it. But she was creeping up to the top of my list because she was on it. But Shay ends up saying that her post, because apparently this was an Instagram post, I'm assuming, said that her post was not towards any of them girls. And Emery says it don't matter. Like, we didn't know you. You got humbled coming in this house real fast. Shay is saying that she didn't get humbled. Emery saying that she did. You the one that got the first black eye in the house. But TeeTee ends up saying you coming in here acting like you running shit. And Shay, her energy in these confessionals, again, confessional gangsters. And also, not only just the energy, Shay in them confessionals like a completely different person in real time. Completely different person. She ain't ugly in the confessional or outside of it, but she just look completely different to me. Completely different. But also, her energy is different in them confessionals than it is in real time. But Coco ends up saying that if anybody got something to say about somebody at this table, just say it right now since we all right here. Emery says this one right here. Who you think she pointing at? Jadynn. So she ends up saying, we're going to have a conversation because I'm tired of embarrassing you on camera. Jadynn says, I don't feel like arguing with you or talking to you right now, and I'm just not feeling good. I said, oh, so are you copping a plea? You was just talking about how Coco, who squashed her beef with Daisy for not actually having beef, copping a plea, but you can't even have a conversation because you don't feel good, but you sitting here. But Emery ends up saying, I don't give a fuck how you feeling. We're going to sit here and have this conversation. I mean, talking ain't using hands, so like, what is it? But Oxy ends up saying essentially the night before those two had squashed it, so what would they be arguing about? Again, I said exactly. But Emery ends up saying that Jadynn had apparently been saying that Emery had trains ran on her, and she claimed that she didn't know her, so how would you know that? Jadynn ends up claiming, I don't know you. Daisy said, but you was talking so much shit, but not having the same energy, which she did not have the same energy. If she was talking shit, which I can believe it, because look at them confessionals, she's not having the same energy in real time. A lot of these girls don't have the same energy in real time. But Jadynn ends up starting to scream at Daisy, saying that she just said that I just said that my arm was fucked up. That's not what you said. You said you wasn't feeling good. Now your arm hurts. Like, you just don't want to fight because you copping a plea. But Emery ends up saying that Jadynn is lucky that she don't rock her shit every time she sees her. And she also tells Jadynn to shut up since she don't want to fight no more. I said it's simple. Because Jadynn, if you out here talking shit, shut up. Because you can't talk shit, and then when somebody catches it and hears what you said and wants to fight, you can't say, oh, well, I'm not feeling good. Oh, my arm's hurting. You talking shit, you going to get hit. Talk shit, get hit. But Emery ends up saying that you going to apologize or I am going to beat your ass. But Jadynn ends up saying, did you not understand that I just told you that my arm is hurt? And I said, but your mouth is not hurt. Your mouth is not hurt. You can apologize. Your arm ain't got nothing to do with words coming out of your mouth. But Emery ends up saying, but you gonna apologize or we gonna keep fighting. So they start going back and forth. And Jadynn in her confessional is saying that it's annoying because I don't want to fight. And a bitch keeps provoking me. And she says, leave me alone. I said, but you're sitting here provoking Emery, talking about her. And then when she presses you about it, you don't want to fight. And you got all these excuses as to why you don't want to fight. You can't have it both ways. You can't. But they still going back and forth. Jadynn ends up getting up, whining about her arm. And she's walking away, telling Emery not to follow her, and Emery sitting there talking shit back to her. But Jadynn ends up saying that she ain't with the talking. I said, so what are you with? Because if you ain't with the talking, you damn sure ain't with them hands. So what are you with? Because you don't want to fight, but you don't want to have a conversation. So what you gonna do? So shut up. Just stop talking, because you with the talking. It's clear you with the talking. But she ends up telling Emery that she whacking weird. I'm like, you just provoking her, because if she get over there and hop on you, it's your fault, because you ain't shutting up. But Daisy and Coco, they talking about their injuries and talking about how we fought and we got all these injuries or whatever, because we see Daisy got that scratch clear across her head. We see Coco's eye. Like, come on. And it's true though, because I always say and have always said it. Me personally, if I really want to fight and have an issue, broken hands or not, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. But Bahati, she ends up coming back with some liquor. They start playing Never Have I Ever. One of the Never Have I Evers, Bahati said, never have I ever been boring. She definitely hasn't. But Daisy ends up telling Rella, Jadynn, and Erica that they need to take a shot because they're boring. For me, the most boring one so far is definitely Erica. I would definitely say Erica. I can't even say Jadynn because Jadynn's been a part of the show. Like I've known who she was. Like Erica had to remember what her name was when she pointed at her. Rella, I mean, she's not my type of entertainment, but I wouldn't necessarily call her boring. Oxy, I would put in the boring category. I'm trying to think who else is there that I don't talk about. Y'all tell me who y'all would think would be boring. But Rella ends up saying who's boring. Jadynn is in her confessional talking about some Daisy needs to shut the fuck up because she keep inserting her and shit. I said, why you didn't say that to her face in real time? But Jadynn then ends up asking her after she says, I'll take a shot, but how am I boring? But Rella ends in her confessional calling Daisy Roly, saying that she got the nerve to call her boring, but I've been sitting here fighting since I got here. This is the thing with a lot of these fans, y'all. And not only just the fans, but a lot of y'all nowadays with this Zeus shit, if you're not fighting, you're not considered entertaining. Just because you fight does not mean you're entertaining. I said that all last season on Baddies when it came to Jasmine Renee. A lot of y'all gave me hell. She's boring. She's boring. No, she actually got personality. When she was in them confessionals talking, she was funny. She didn't have to fight all the time. She actually was entertaining by herself. Not only that, just watching what she put on. That was entertaining to me. Just waiting to see what she gonna wear next. That's entertaining. You don't have to just fight to be entertaining. But they go more rounds of Never Have I Ever. Not going to talk about that. But Jadynn ends up saying at the end that she's going to show them that she ain't boring. And Daisy says, show us. We didn't get to see it because they transitioned the scene. But we get a scene with TeeTee, Coco, and Jadynn. They're outside on the deck recapping the room snatching situation. Bahati ends up joining them. And Coco ends up asking her, like, why did y'all come in TeeTee's room trying to take the bed? Bahati ends up saying, I came in there because of my issue with Cuppcake. And Coco ends up asking her, like, if she wanted Cuppcake's bed instead of TeeTee's. And Bahati says, like, I ain't say nothing about TeeTee's bed. Daisy did. Which is true. She did not come in there wanting TeeTee's bed. She came in there and went straight for Cuppcake. And as we know, she had a reason for doing that. But TeeTee ends up getting up, snatching her bonnet off, and telling Bahati to scrub. I'm like, for what? Like, for what? You should literally be downstairs fighting Daisy. If you want to fight, that's the person you need to fight. The one that actually beat your head in. But you want to fight Bahati. So Bahati gets up because Bahati ain't scared. That's one thing I will always respect is about somebody, whether they can or cannot fight. Anytime somebody presses you, you better get up. Me personally, even if I don't want to fight somebody, if somebody presses me, you're not going to punk me. That's just what it is. Even if I don't want to fight, I'm going to fight. Because who are you talking to? Who are you punking? Because you are like, and that's the thing. That's how people get bullied. If somebody presses you and you don't give them what they giving that energy back to you, they're gonna keep trying to do it, which is gonna turn into bullying. They're gonna think that they got an advantage over you and got you scared. You gotta fight back. But she gets up, Bahati's trying to grab, TeeTee swinging. They're on like this ledge too, so of course, what happens? They eventually end up falling over. But Bahati, she was swinging a little bit, but she got her head down. TeeTee's head is up, and she just banging her in her head. Bahati's charging at her, using her weight to her advantage and her strength. And they go over the ledge. Didn't fall, though. But TeeTee's swinging her around and stuff. And then she ends up getting Bahati in a headlock. Coco and Jadynn come over trying to break it up. And I'm like, where the fuck is security? This headlock was not as bad as the other ones. We're going to get into it in a minute. But I'm like, where's security at? Because this could become a very, very dangerous situation. But Coco, she ends up asking why they fought again. And TeeTee says, I blacked out. They square up again. Same thing happening again. Bahati tried to flip TeeTee. TeeTee got her in a headlock again. And this choke that she had in a tight one. And the way her head was up under there, she could be blocking her airways. And you know what could happen. She could pass out. She might possibly DIE. But apparently Bahati had bit TeeTee. I mean, I'm not for the biting, but if you got somebody in the headlock and they can't get out, what you think the best thing to do is? You want me to sit here and pass out, or do you want me to try and find a way to get you to release? I'm going to bite the shit out of you. Me personally, I'm not with that biting, but I ain't never been in a headlock before. If I've been in a headlock and I couldn't breathe, I'm going to do something to get up out of it. But Bahati ends up saying, fight me tomorrow, because they both are tired at this point. TeeTee ends up telling her to suck her dick and tell her to lay down. And Bahati says, even you know you have a dick. I said, oh, because y'all know what's been circulating. But TeeTee ends up starting to walk away, and Bahati ends up following behind him. And TeeTee is starting to grab chairs. Bahati starts grabbing chairs. Bahati ends up saying that she's essentially calling out Morpheus because she does not want TeeTee to beat her ass. Like, she beat my ass on the TV, and I don't want her to get away with it, aka I want to get me a W. I ain't mad at it because ain't nobody going to beat my ass on TV. You going to beat my ass in period. But on TV, you definitely not about to beat my ass. I'm about to keep fighting you until I win. So that's essentially what Bahati's on. And TeeTee's trying to go down these stairs, and Bahati tries to sneak her. Bahati was swinging this time, but she wasn't really connecting. But TeeTee ends up getting her into a headlock again. And then they go to the ground. This is where it got nasty. Because she had her in a headlock, and she was on top of her. TeeTee's small, but she was on top of her. That weight was down on her neck. And not only that, Bahati's fingers were in her mouth, and TeeTee is biting her fingers. I said, where the fuck is security at? Like, where are they at? But they eventually ended up breaking them up. But TeeTee is in her confessionals talking about what she did to Bahati, and she said that Bahati got to go. And I said, no, she don't. But Jadynn ends up asking where Bahati's sleeping, and Bahati said, I'm still sleeping upstairs in that bed. Bahati ain't scared of her. She ain't scared. But we get to the next scene with Daisy, Emery, and Shay. They are in the weight room. I wonder how many minutes I've already been on here. 23. Crazy. Daisy, her, Emery, and Shay, they're in the weight room recapping the kitchen situation. And Daisy ends up saying that her and Coco ain't got no beef no more. But Coco said she was over it, but she's still mad about that eye. So essentially, Daisy's like, we ain't got no beef, but I'm keeping my head on the swivel because I know a lot of these girls could possibly want to try and sneak somebody and get their one back because I done fucked up her eye. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But Emery ends up saying that their issue should be done. But Daisy ends up saying that it might be, but Coco might wake up tomorrow and look at that eye and say, I might need that today. You ain't lying. But Emery says if somebody fucked her eye up like that, she'd have to fight them every time. Me too. But Rella, she ends up coming in there telling them that the bitches was up there fighting. She ends up asking them girls that are in there why they're in the gym. Are y'all ready to fight? Daisy ends up saying, I'm ready for anybody. We know. We know. But they said they was in there working out to blow off steam. And Daisy ends up saying, but you was upstairs talking crazy, talking to Rella. And Rella says, bitch, you called me boring. So they laugh it off immediately. But Shay ends up saying in her confessionals that Rella is boring. I said, oh, interesting. But Daisy ends up saying that I do feel like you are boring because I ain't seen you around here. Rella's like, well, you ain't seen me fighting 10 times, five to 10 times. Like I just said earlier, fighting does not make you entertaining. But Rella ends up talking about how she got all these fillers in her nose. And when Bahati had hit her in the nose, it made her nose swell up. But Shay ends up leaving. And as she's leaving, she's like, bye, guys. I'm going to go smoke my weed. Blue kisses and everything. I said, this ain't that energy that's in them confessionals. And you blowing kisses to Daisy, who done beat your ass earlier. Emery, who was just pressing you. Just pressing you. I said, oh, that's interesting. But Daisy, she ends up saying that she had got up, talking about Shay in her confessional, saying that she got up because she probably thought Daisy was going to get up and do something. I said, yeah, I agree. But Rella, she ends up bringing up the boring shit, saying that it was given that Daisy was doing that for camera time. And Daisy's like, who, bitch? Who, bitch? And Rella's in the confessional saying that Daisy's in the gym where she needs to be at. I said, oh. I said, oh, be ready for that reunion because when Daisy sees it, I know she coming for you. But they start going back and forth. My New Yorkers, y'all let me know who was in the right and who was in the wrong. They start going back and forth, repping they sets where they from. Rella's from the Bronx. Daisy's from Rochester. They talking about who's harder, who's more prissy, who's more punkish. Daisy is pretty much telling her that them bitches from New York City, all that prissy shit, they fake, they scary. Like they're going back and forth, and Emery's sitting in the middle like, what's going on? She's sitting there trying to block him out too because they eventually get up arguing. And Rella eventually walks out as they're arguing, but she gets in her confessional saying that Daisy kept talking and she wanted to fight her, but her face is all swollen, so that's why she didn't do it. I'm like, here you go with the excuses. If you really wanted to fight Daisy, you would have fought her. But Daisy ends up telling Emery that them New York City bitches just talk, but we got the hands for real. All right. But we get to Cuppcake and Janellis. They're in the master bedroom, and Oxy comes in and saying that she needs to talk to Cuppcake about this shit. She ends up saying, I feel played. she ends up asking Cuppcake if she was diagnosed with this cancer that she's been claiming that she has. So Cuppcake ends up saying, I was told that I had a 2.6 centimeter mass inside of me and cancer runs in my family. I went to the ER, was in there for 15 hours, and they had told me a bunch of stuff. And in my mind, it could happen. So you were not diagnosed. So why are you sitting here? I'm telling you, these people are weird. She's a weirdo. Cuppcake is a weirdo. You don't get no points for me sitting here. Like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? But Oxy says, so in my mind, diagnosed, I'm hearing diagnosed from you. You trying to pretty much get people to get off of your back about any potential thing that might possibly happen because you might have cancer. That's essentially what she's saying. And she says, I feel like you're using it as an excuse, which is what she is doing. But Cuppcake is saying, I'm not trying to manipulate anybody to get out of fighting. Oxy said, yeah, you did fight 4 times today. Cuppcake says, yeah, I'm not using it as an excuse because if anybody comes up to me, stepping to me, I'm going to fight them. I said, lies. Lies. You done proved it. But Oxy ends up claiming that she respects it. They table the shit. We moving on. This scene with Shay, TeeTee, and Ming. Emery comes joining them down. They're in the living room. And they're recapping TeeTee versus Bahati because TeeTee is hyped up about her fight. She's saying we fought 3 times. Glossop ends up joining them. And TeeTee is proud of the fight. She's proud of what she was doing, asking them, did y'all hear all that thumping and shit? It's like corny. But Emery, she ends up addressing Shay, coming in, acting the way she did, talking about something you was going to be on that bully shit. Shay's denying it. I do believe Shay came in acting like that for a reason. She thought she was going to be able to do that. And she got humbled. Just like Emery said, it is true. She got humbled by Daisy. The energy that Shay came on that bus with was like, I'm going to be top dog. Ever since Daisy got on her, that energy shifted completely. So Emery's not wrong. But Glossop and TeeTee, they're pretty much backing up what Emery is saying too. And Glossop said what I just said, that energy changed. You was real hype, but that energy changed. And Glossop said in her confessional, Shay is a completely different person. I said she literally is a different person in the way she was acting when she first got here. But Emery ends up saying that she thinks that Shay and Jadynn gonna be up out this bitch, aka y'all going home. It's like she low-key pressing her. Well, high-key pressing her. But Emery ends up saying that she gonna do her big one, and she does her big one every single time and tells Shay that she can get her ass beat one more time. And I was like, uh-oh. And Emery's like, yeah, for shit show. But Shay says, okay, well, let me go get my shoes. Emery said, no, get up. We not waiting for you to get no shoes. You can do it with no shoes on. So they get up and they get to going. They hair grabbing right now. Hair grabbing. Security breaks it up the first round. And Emery's like, yeah, you don't need no shoes, bitch. You don't need no shoes. You can't fuck with me. I said, Emery, you didn't do nothing. In this round, you did not do nothing. But Ming is hyping up Emery. And Emery's like talking to Shay, you a pussy. And Shay called Shay a ratchet ass bitch. And Shay ends up saying that Emery just wants to fight. She called her Emery. I think that's what she said. But she ends up saying that Emery just want to fight anybody that wants to give it to her, and I just gave it to her. Emery did look like she wanted to fight, but then again, Emery looked like she was trying to fight just to fight. But then again, when you sit and think about it, Shay did say at the beginning that she had an issue with every single person that got picked to come on the show that was not at the auditions, aka she thought she got an issue, get your issue, which is the fight. So, I mean, she's essentially making her stand on it. But Emery ends up saying that she about to kick her shit. And Shay was like, do you want to go again? Emery says, do you? And they start going back and forth, do you? Fight. I'm like, just get it up. Emery comes around for round 2. They hair grabbing again. But this time, Shay was slinging Emery around. She might have got a couple punches into that face from what I saw. But then the camera starts shaking and shit. You can't see nothing. So, in my mind, in this moment, Shay won that round. Security ends up breaking it up. The girls is telling them to like, let them run it back. So Emery's squaring up again for another round. And Shay says that she's done. And Emery's like, yeah, you better stay done, bitch. But Emery is saying that she wanted to continue to fight and would have fought her 3 more times. Which in my head, I'm like, probably because you lost. But Shay's walking upstairs and Emery's telling her to go up there and go to bed with her weak ass roommates because y'all are going home. But TeeTee gets in her confessionals and says that Shay was doing her 1-2 in that second round. But Emery got on top of her on the ground and was punching her hard into them cameras, which, I mean, I guess I can believe it because we saw what the cameras was doing. Their fights was so shaky you couldn't even see really anything, especially when Emery got to that ground. So, I mean, I'm going to take their word for it, whatever. But Ming Lee, she starts talking shit about how she didn't know Shay was saying all that shit about the pics and online stuff. And she didn't know that Shay wanted to fight her. I'm like, she didn't say she wanted to fight you, but okay. But Ming Lee ends up saying that if Shay ain't gonna keep it a buck, she's fake. And Emery ends up saying, yeah, like she said she was gonna do something to your ass, and I told her to do it. I said, when did she say that? I was like, Emery over here stirring the pot. She wants somebody to go fight her now. So Ming's like, oh. And Gloss Up tells Ming to go upstairs and ask her if she wants to fight and let me know. Basically saying, go up there and ask her to fight, or ask her if she wants to fight, and I'm gonna come up there and fight for you. Gloss Up, you looking for a fight too? But Ming Lee, she go upstairs looking for Shay. She running all around that damn mansion, and I believe she was struggling trying to find her, and I can believe it. That mansion is big, so it's probably look. You got to go everywhere to try and find somebody. But we get the security guard, and he's in the confessionals laughing about her going around looking for her. Ming Lee, she gets upstairs looking for Shay. Like I said, she's running all around the house. And she comes downstairs where the girls were, and she's like, I can't find her. Emery's like, she a confessional gangster. She probably in the confessionals, and that's exactly where she was. But Gloss Up was like, Ming Lee is running around like a typical 19-year-old. I told her to go ask her to fight, or ask her if she wants to fight, and then I will fight for her. But she finds her in the confessional room eventually with Bahati, and Bahati's excited to see Ming, not knowing Ming is on that type of time. And she's like, come on, Ming, come on. That's it. Don't be wanting her. Don't want her to come in here. But Bahati ends up asking her to come in. Ming Lee ends up asking Shay if she wanted to squabble because I heard that you said that you wanted to. Shay is confused, like, I ain't never said that. Which I do believe she didn't say it. But Shay ends up saying that you don't see me around these hoes sitting here talking, so why would I say that? Why would you believe anything that they saying? You was around the bitches that didn't like you. You was around Emery and you was around Daisy. Both girls that don't like you. So, I mean, I believe she didn't say it, but then again, it's like you was around them, so you set yourself up. So if they literally set you up, you allowed that to happen because I wouldn't be around nobody that don't like me. That's just me. But I do feel like they are trying to set her up. And it's like, do I feel bad for her? It's like, I can't feel bad for her the way she came on the show. But that's what they doing. That's what they doing. But Gloss Up is now standing at the door now. And Gloss Up walks up to her because Shay ends up saying, like, what did Shay say? I think she asked her. No, Gloss Up, she ends up going up and walking forward to her to fight, essentially, and says, I'm not going to let Ming Lee fight. Gloss Up ends up swinging on Shay. Bahati falls off her chair and says that she enjoyed the show, pretty much the fight, and says, but it's corny at the same time because, like, y'all literally could have called her out and asked for the fade instead of doing this in the confessional. That is true. But Gloss Up ends up saying that she's fighting for Ming Lee, and Shay says, I'm not fighting you. Ming ends up saying she's small. I'm small. I have an excuse. You picking and choosing. I have an excuse because I'm small. You don't have an excuse. You came in here wanting to fight her. Get in there and fight. Get in there and fight. She ends up saying, but you a big ass bitch and you pick and choose. You don't have no reason to fight. I mean, that's true too. To pick and choose. You don't have a reason to pick and choose. That is true too. But Ming Lee versus Shay, both of them can't fight, but Ming Lee really can't fight. But next week we got Gloss Up versus Shay again. Coco's Eye, like I said, crazy. They in there on some BGC bully shit, getting the girls' beds up, flipping them and telling them it's moving day. I don't know how I'm gonna like that. But they doing that with Shay and Jadynn. And then Jadynn versus Coco on the bus. Gloss Up versus Oxy on the bus. Interesting. But y'all let me know what y'all's thoughts are down below. If you're new, subscribe if you're new. Thumbs up the video. Drop a comment down below. I was going to say we might go live tomorrow. I'm going to have to check in with Movie Bang Legend with might. Emphasis on might. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Because I'm going to be off live. Well, I'm not going to be off live. But Love Island is coming. And y'all going to see me every day on here. I don't know if y'all going to watch. Y'all should watch if you love me. But yeah, that's why. But I'll see y'all next week. Peace.